few reminders for the interview room. Please turn off all cell phones. There's no video permitted in the press conference interview room. Please wait for the mic and state your name and affiliation and address a specific student athlete when you can. We have some tight deadlines this evening and limited time on the podium, so we will try and get to as many questions as possible, but there is a chance you will not get a question in for everyone. What? Yeah, we're good. We're good. This man stole Gino for anything? Is the locker room open though? Right. Oh, yeah, thank you. Sorry. Couple reminders again before we get started. Please turn off your cell phones. There's no video permitted in the interview room area. Please wait for the microphone to ask a question and state your name and affiliation. And when possible, please address a specific student athlete with your questions. We do have some tight deadlines and limited time on the podium, but we'll try and get into as many questions as possible. Okay. So what time does it close? What? Okay. The Connecticut locker room is now open. That will be closing at 12:13, and Connecticut is making its way to the dais. Maybe it was open when we did the swim interview. Yeah, so 12:04. Okay. Yeah. Actually, slight correction. UConn's locker room is open until 12:04. Again? Yeah. Is Mississippi State open already? No, I told Julie to let me know when they. Yeah. Joining us on the dais from Connecticut, head coach Gino Ariema, student athletes Kia Nurse and Gabby Williams. We will start with an opening statement from Coach Ariema and then take questions for the student athletes.
Thanks, Emery. Obviously, when you get to this point in the season and you lose, it's just it's the worst feeling imaginable, and the excitement that was in Mississippi State's locker room, we've been there. We've been there lots of times. We've experienced that probably more times than normal. And today, they deserve to win, and they beat us. And we had our chances, but they beat us. They took us away from the things that we like to do, and we didn't have the kind of maturity that you need to win at this level at this time of the year. Some of our young guys got a little bit, a little bit ahead of themselves, and that's okay. We went in the locker room and we experienced some of the things that a bunch of other kids have experienced against us. And I'm proud of our team, and I'm proud of our kids. They had an incredible run, but we came up against a much better team tonight.
Thank you, Coach. Questions for our student athletes? We'll take our first one right here.
Michelle Smith, ESPNW. Kia, can you talk about the way the game started and what you think that did to you guys mentally?
They started the game obviously with an intensity, and they came out and they made a push fast. And kudos to them for that. And I think for us personally, we had to get back to UConn basketball, stay engaged and stay together.
Question here in the front.
Adam Minikino from a Commercial Dispatch in Columbus. Gabby, can you talk about that final play defensively, what you guys were trying to do, and just how it turned out?
We didn't want them to we didn't want them to penetrate too deep, which they did. We were trying to face guard a little bit and put some pressure on the guards so they couldn't bring it up as fast, and just had some help defense, but it came up short.
Any more questions for the student athletes right here in the front row?
Rich Elliott in the London Day. For Gabby and Kia, can you just describe what this run has been like for you guys over the last couple of years?
Do you want to start, Gabby?
It's been incredible, and I'm really proud of what we've done, especially this year with, kind of the gap that we've had to fill. I wouldn't want to be with anybody else right now. I wouldn't want to have any other people as my teammates, and I'm proud of what we've done.
Kia.
It's been quite a fun ride. It's been a challenge, and I think, we handled it pretty well. And it was something that we hadn't been, roles we hadn't been in circumstances we hadn't been in, and unfortunately, it came short. But the people that we did it with, the help that we got from the coaches, that's irreplaceable.
Anything else for the student athletes? Okay, thank you, ladies. They'll be available in the locker room until 12:04. We'll continue with questions for Coach Auriemma. We'll start down here in the front.
I'm sorry,
Wait for
Gino,
the mic.
could you elaborate a bit on the things they took away or disrupted tonight?
Well, normally we're a little more patient, on offense, and I think we became a lot less patient. We started to try to make some individual plays, and kind of got out of playing 5-on-5. It was very, very disjointed that whole first half. There was no rhythm to our game. We usually have a tremendous flow, and we just never got one in that first half, especially. And obviously we got one in the second half, but the first half was just, I can't even say I'm surprised. I mean, it's something I've been talking about to the guys who cover our team all year long. I've been talking about it all year. We're playing way above our years and way above our experience level. And tonight it caught up to us when we really needed to be a little more mature with what we're doing. We didn't have it. And that big part of that was because of what they were doing.
Question right here in the front row.
Your thoughts on the defense in that final sequence in trying to deny either Dillingham or William penetration?
Yeah, well, I mean, we knew that, well, first of all, having the ball with 12 seconds left was not plan A. So obviously they had a little more time to get something done, but the kid made a great play, and I thought Sanaya did a pretty good job defending her, and we said if they're gonna make a shot, it's got to be a pull-up jump shot. It can't be a standstill. It can't be a layup. And that's one of the toughest shots to make from that distance. Under that kind of pressure. So. I always tell my team, one play doesn't cost you a game. It almost never does. One play doesn't cost you a game. But a lot of times, one play will win you a game. And that's exactly what she did.
Question here from Michelle.
So, Gina, you weren't surprised to see the kids struggle with their composure late in the game?
Late in the game, we struggled with it at the beginning of the game. I think a lot of it is, like Kia said, we kind of lived the charm life, for a long time. For a whole 5 months, Fisa played like a fifth-year senior, and today she struggled. And Lou has been, incredibly consistent all year long, and today she struggled. So you take that and put it together against a really good team in this environment. I told them at halftime, it's a miracle we're only down 8. So we knew we were in good shape. We knew it was only going to be a matter of, 5 or 6 minutes before we got it back. But they were just better. They were just better, But you know what? When stuff like this happens, it kind of makes me shake my head and go, how many times this could have happened and it didn't happen? So the fact that it never happened, that doesn't mean I went home thinking it's never going to happen. I mean, I knew this was coming at some point. I'm just shocked that it took this long to get here.
Question on the aisle there.
Coach, Steve Robertson with Jeans Page. Could you take us through the flagrant foul call, what the explanation was there from the officials?
There was a sequence where somebody was going to the basket and Lou was cutting, and there was a collision underneath the basket, and then Lou went flying out of bounds, and they looked at the monitor and they said that she got hit with an elbow or a forearm in the face or something, and by rules they have to call that. I don't know why they didn't call it when it happened. They were standing right there, but that's what they said.
Question here from Vicky.
Vicki Fulkerson from the New London Day. Gino, can you talk about the medal that these kids had to win 111 straight games?
Well, they didn't. They won 36. Yeah, it's a lot. And they finished 36-1, so that's their record. That's what they own. That's all theirs. And I'm proud of what they've been able to do, and how much they changed from last October. You know, when we started October 15th to where we are today. As I said, these kids were way older than they were supposed to be. You know, they should have shown their age early on in the season, November, December, at some point. And we just kept playing like older players, more mature players. You know, I watched last year's Mississippi State game. You know, the score at the end of the first quarter was like 28 to or something to 4, and Stewie had, I think, 15 or 18 in the first quarter. You know? So these kids have never really been in situations like they were in today, and you know, just wasn't meant to be.
Question here in the front.
Can you talk about what you said to the players when you realized you were going to have 2 shots in the ball, about holding for the last shot?
Yeah.
And what was running through your head when Sanaya goes to the basket that early?
Here's a kid trying to win the game. And as I said earlier to Adam's question or Jerry's question, we're impatient. You know, normally, you know, go over that scenario 1,000 times. I mean, it's the easiest thing to do, you know. You look at the clock and, you know, every day in practice we said, it's usually not going to be the shot that you take that wins it. It's going to be an offensive rebound, put back, or whatever. So we just always want enough time for that. And, you know, Sanaya just tried to make a great play. God bless her. And there was a collision and nothing happened. So she's pretty good at drawing fouls. So I guess she, you know, just impatient a little bit. That's all.
We have time for one final question in the back from Richard.
Yeah, Gino, when Morgan Willem hit her game winner, you had a big smile on your face. It was interesting to sort of watch. And I wonder if you could just share what you were thinking at that moment as the ball went down.
Kind of some of the things I've already said about how many times that's happened going the other way, you know. Things happen for a reason, you know, so I just kind of shook my head. This kid's had an incredible run, you know, so when it went in, it was almost like, of course, you know, of course it's going to go in, you know. She's had an amazing run so far, and look, nobody's won more than we've won. So I understand losing, believe it or not. We haven't lost in a while, but I understand it. And I know how to appreciate when other people win.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you. The Connecticut locker room is open until 12:04. Mississippi State's locker room is open right now. That will be open until 12:16, and they are coming up on the podium shortly. Yeah, I read that. Thank you. Both locker rooms are currently open. UConn's will close at 12:04, and Mississippi State's will close at 12:16. Joining us now on the dais from Mississippi State, head coach Vic Schaefer, student athletes Morgan William, Bree Richardson, and Victoria Vivians. We'll open with a statement from Coach Schaefer and then take questions for the student athletes.
Well, obviously that was one heck of a great basketball game, overtime game, two great teams. Obviously I'm extremely proud of my group. What an unbelievable, gutsy performance that no one in the country, including all of y'all, probably thought could happen, and that's okay. But we knew it could happen. You see, you have to be careful when you start talking about people that you really don't know about. If all you're doing is evaluating what you see on TV and you don't really know what's inside somebody's breastplate, you better be careful about evaluating them. And that's what these kids have. They have tremendous heart. They also have a little pride. We had our pride stepped on last year by another great team, just like that one today. We didn't play well. They played really well. We got our tail handed to us. And because of that, these three right here and the rest of their teammates, they've kind of been on a little bit of a mission. They have tremendous pride. They have tremendous heart. And they're fighters. They have such a competitive spirit. And again, unless you know them, you wouldn't know that. I know them. We believed in our locker room it could be done. A year ago, I'm showing the miracle, hoping for it. This year, I wasn't showing the miracle. We weren't watching any movies. I wasn't talking about the Philistine slaying the giant, although it was in the back of my mind. This was about two basketball teams, two great teams, competitors, tough, physical, aggressive basketball teams. We beat the greatest team with the greatest streak in the history of sports. You've got to give them a lot of credit. We didn't have to play them a best out of 7. We didn't have to play a best out of 5. We just had to play them one time, just beat them one time. And when you have these young ladies and their teammates, and they can go through what we went through for 3 days preparing and put that together, and again, it helps to have a veteran team, 4 seniors, 4 juniors. Helps to have that. But it also helps to have kids that have that competitive spirit. These kids were incredible tonight. It's never easy for us, y'all. It wasn't easy tonight. There's always something that comes up that makes it more difficult for these kids. But they always find a way. And in that moment, they were ready for the moment. Morgan had 41 against Baylor. There ain't any shots bigger than the one she hit tonight. But that's the shot we wanted. That's who we wanted taking it. And at the end of the day, you got to want to be in that moment. And our kids want to be in that moment. And that's what I knew about them. That's what our staff knew about them. And they prepared them and did a great job. And that's why they won the game tonight. But make no mistake, we beat a heck of a basketball team, the greatest of all time, with the best coach of all time. We're very proud of that. We're honored, and we're giving God the glory for number 34.
Thank you, Coach. Questions for student athletes? We'll start here in the front.
Morgan, please take us through that last sequence.
Well, when Coach called that timeout, he was like, Morgan, you finna win the game. That's what he said. He said, Morgan, you finna run this play. It wasn't originally for me, but the way they had guarded, I told Dom to get the ball and bring it down the court. And time was just ticking. And I knew the last end of regulation, I had went up for the layup, and they blocked it. So I was like, she probably think I'm going to do it again. So I got enough space. I jumped up, and I just made the shot. When I made the shot, I was in shock. And I'm still in shock. I'm over here like, man, I just won the game. And my teammates are just so happy and proud of me. But I can't thank them enough because I couldn't be playing the way I'm playing without them. Yeah, he said, Mo, you about to win the game. He's like, we want the ball in your hands. Just in case they foul, free throw wise, or just get a bucket.
Next question right here.
Morgan, when did you guys know that you could win this game?
Film. Days. I mean, we had to redeem ourselves from last year, of course, and I mean, just watching film and our coaches just preparing us, telling us what we could do, and they had so much confidence in us that we can go out there and win this game. And we believed them, and we just went out there and fought, and it was a good outcome.
Question right here in front.
Congratulations. Did the play intend to go as deep into the clock as it did, Morgan? And did you put a little bit of extra arc on it to get it over Sanaya's hands?
I think he was on Gabby, but I just shot the ball. I know Coach said one shot. I didn't want to give him too much time to go shoot the ball and end up going to second overtime, so it just happened to be perfect timing.
Question right here.
Cedric Bailey, Levita News. A couple of your teammates are not there with you, but Corey with the spin move, the bench went crazy on that one move. And then your post player, it seemed like you were just shadowing McCowan, and McCowan was able to get the ball off the deflection and look up one time, she gets a steal and goes down the court. Can you talk about your other teammates that's not here and what they done tonight, Morgan?
The whole team contributed, and when T got that steal and went half court, I mean, I really thought she was gonna dunk it out, dunk it, and she ended up falling, but we did a good job turning them over. And Coach wrote on the game, pregame, like they played pretty ball, and they had 25 assists per game. So we had to limit that and go out deny the ball. And that's what our 5 players did. They denied the ball. And they only had 11 assists, so they played out good.
Next question back there.
Amber Dodd, The Reflector. Bree and Victoria, you guys had foul trouble early on in the game. So what was your plan for the game, and how did you try to change the dynamic but keep the same pace for Mississippi State?
Can you start that, Bree?
I guess with us, like, we kind of knew going in we had to impose our will, as Coach said. So he said even if we get a couple early fouls, make them count. So after that, we just had to play smart after that. But we started to play our solid defense. So we can't really think about fouls, just got to play smart in those situations.
Feeding off what Bree said, we had to play smart and don't take no plays off. If you got to make a foul at the end, make it knowing that you give me your all and that your teammates got your back when you get out.
We'll take 2 more for the student athletes here in front.
Howard Mandel, Vice Sports. For Morgan, for Victoria as well, is it different weathering UConn runs when you're ahead? And did it feel different? Was it easier for you guys to get composure, to get back to what you needed to be doing? Because you were up 16, you were up 8 when UConn was making runs against you guys.
Can you take that first, Morgan?
Yeah, I see we got up by 16 in the second quarter. I feel like we got stagnant when they started going zone, and we started standing around, throwing up threes. I mean, we weren't attacking like we were in the beginning, and I feel like that's where they made their run. Then we finally adjusted and started attacking, getting inside, and I mean, each possession matters in big games like this. We need to get shot each possession. That's the coach always telling me, Mo. We don't need turnovers. We need we need good shots, getting shots, stuff like that. So I think that's what we focus on. Oh, yeah, it is.
Victoria?
Going off what Morgan said, yeah, they make like the game is full of runs. It's either you're gonna make a run right after them. So I just feel like just being ahead at the beginning and kind of keeping the lead takes off a lot of pressure and help us to build our confidence and execute on defense.
Final question for the student athletes right here.
For Victoria, for Bree, and for Morgan, what kind of a statement do you think that you guys made tonight about Mississippi State basketball?
Can you start that, Victoria? Then we'll go down the line.
Like Coach said, it was personal. We got beat by 60 last year. We had to prove that we're a way better team than it was last year.
Good. That was good. I think the same thing. Coach told us this morning his mindset when he woke up was this personal. So he told us to take the same mindset coming in. And we just knew if we played our game, our style, you never knew what the outcome was going to be. We knew if we played hard, we played our game, we'd come out with the win, and we did.
I feel like we earned respect tonight. You know, people didn't believe in us, but it didn't faze us. We just had to go out there and play, and I feel like it showed that we're better than what everybody thinks.
Thank you, ladies. They'll be available in the locker room until 12:06. I'm sorry, 12:16.
I will. You know
We'll take
I will.
questions now for Coach. We'll start back here with Richard.
Congratulations, Vic.
Thank
you. You win this historic game, but there's still a final to play in 2 days. So what's your approach sort of now with this team, and how do you get them sort of back to the place where there's sort of still one more mountain to climb?
You know, this team's been really good about on to the next one. I mean, you walk in our locker room and there's not a lot of jumping around. I mean, we jumped around the court, but when we got in the locker room, I mean, heck, I had to throw water on them. They're just really grounded, and they're always, who's next, Coach? What time's the bus leaving? When, you know, where are we leaving from? And that's kind of been the way it's been all year. So I don't think I'll have to ground them too much. It's late. It's midnight. I got to feed them, and my kids like to sleep. So I got to get them to bed and let them, you know, rejuvenate a little bit. But, you know, they know that. We talked about it in the locker room that there is one more. You know, it's funny. Last year I'm showing the miracle. This year now I'm having to live it because there's one more game. And so for us, it's you know, we'll have to come back tomorrow. The thing is we're playing a team they're so familiar to us and we're so familiar to them. And that's the beauty of the NCAA tournament for us, is that we finally get away from our league, and it's not quite as difficult. But here we go. We're going in round 3 with South Carolina. We've had 2 knockdown dragouts with them. Don obviously has done a tremendous job, and it's a great team. And so, but you know what? It won't be hard for me to get their attention. So.
Question here in the front.
Vic, by halftime, they had only gotten 18 shots up, and obviously they had very few assists. Can you sort of talk about your defensive strategy, please, for tonight?
Well, we got 21 more shots for the game. We forced 17 turnovers, and they're averaging 25 assists, and they only had 11. So our strategy was you can't let them do what they want to do, bottom line. And again, there's not a lot of teams across the country that play that way. There's just not. There's not a lot of teams that are out there doing what we do defensively, trying to push you out and guard and all that. I mean, it's just the way it is, but that's how we play. And I asked I had 2 different plans, and I asked the girls, I said, what do y'all want to do? I'm behind you. Whatever you think, we'll do it, but I got 2 plans, so you tell me what you want, Coach. We want to go get them. Okay. If we're going to go get them, then all of us have to go get them. It's not 4, and then there's a 5th for pressure release. That's what we call it if one doesn't do their job. And so you saw my big 5-player come over the top and get a couple of hands on a couple of balls and steals and deflections. And, So, again, it's when you've got a team that shares the ball so well. I mean, man, they are a machine offensively. And if you don't put something in the sprocket to jam it up, it just keeps rolling. And so you've got to do some things to make them do some things they don't want to do. And but that plays kind of into what we do. We just had to do it tonight. And, our kids were special tonight on that end, no question about it. Forcing 17 turnovers, 21 more shots, that's probably the two stats of the game.
Question here in front.
With the attitude of trying to take it personal, you guys came out and built that 16-point lead. But how did you get them to regroup and take the punches and punch back and not get caught up in what was across the opponent's jersey and kind of fall prey to that?
Our kids are at them there. We know the game's full of streaks. It was good that we had a streak that got us up that big. That's hard to do against a great team. And, so you do that. It ain't like you think you're going to get up that many and then you're going to go get 16 more and have them down 32. That ain't going to happen. Those kids on the other end know how to play a little bit. And so, we knew they were going to make a run. And so what you got to do is try to minimize that run. And, you go in at half up 8. I'm sure everybody across the country went, well, that's nice. The little team played really good. And second half, they'll come out and kick their ass. Kick their butt. Sorry. My apologies. And so don't print that, by the way. And so, but again, Adam, our kids have so much pride. I mean, you see our fan base out there tonight? Special. It's what's been so special about building this program and about these kids. Those people love my kids. And they willed them to victory tonight. They were not going to let them lose. And our kids weren't going to lose. It didn't matter what happened, whatever jumped up in our front of us. Our kids have seen it all year long, and they found a way to get it done. So I just think that, again, you go through the 16 rival games we go through in the SEC, it gets you ready for the moment. We've had back-to-back nightmare games against two really good teams. And so it's not anything we're not used to.
Question right here in front.
Vic, when did you know that this team was ready for this?
I don't know, Hugh. It's this team's always been difficult to read. I've gone in the press room all year and gone, opened up with, man, I didn't see that coming. When we'd won by 24 or 26, 28 in the SEC, which is hard to do. Just like Coach R.M. has done with his group. So I was, I'm not sure when it hit me. I just knew that if my kids would fight, I've seen them in that moment when they are so competitive, that their competitive spirit just is absolutely will not be denied. I knew if I could bottle that up tonight in them, we'd be okay. That we would, we'd be fine. But, the moment last year was such a nightmare. And so, it's in the back of your mind. But I told them before the game, who's responsible for fear? Who's responsible for fear? If you've got fear in your heart, you got fear in your mind, who's putting it there? What entity puts it there? And we talked about it. At the end of the day, we're not going to let that entity put fear in our heart and in our mind. It's basketball. Let's go play. Lay it on the line. Make it a dogfight.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Question in the back.
Vic, what the heck happened there at the 12 seconds left with the call? And the fact is that your guys could have said, hey, what's happening here? But you guys made the defensive play to set up the game-winning shot.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I really don't know. I probably need to stay away from that. But, I mean, I'm really not. I haven't seen it. I don't have any idea. But, again, you know what? It probably got in our kids, and they were like, okay, fine. We'll do it. We'll do it this way. Because we've done it this way all year. Nothing's been easy for us. And so when that happened, once the coach kind of calmed down a little bit and we got them back together, I said, hey, fine. This is right up our alley, ending the game on a defensive stop. Let's go make a stop. And we did. And so then when you make that stop, and now there's 12 seconds on the clock, hey, that's plenty of time. I don't like the advance rule. I like to bring it up. I like people backpedaling. I like doing it that way. And so that's the way we did it.
Question down here in the front.
Jim Fuller, New Haven Register. All season, UConn's gotten the ball to Gabby Williams in a high post. You put your 6'7" kid in there. Just run me through how important it was to kind of disrupt her from being able to feed it inside or to their shooters.
Yeah, I mean, that's a hard decision to make, too, boy. I mean, that's probably not one that people saw coming, but, I mean, I think if you're going to beat them or beat just like we had to do the other night, we have to do some things that maybe they're not quite prepared for. And so I thought that was a big matchup. Here's the thing about Tiara. Tiara, if you give her some challenge that you tell her, you're probably not going to, it may be a big challenge, you might not be able to do it. I'm going to give you a chance. If you can't, I'm going to have to put somebody else. She embraces that moment. And so I was proud of her. Again, you're putting length up there, 6'7". She got drove on a couple of times. We knew there'd be some heartache with that, but we also knew that might be the best thing in the long run to help us put a kink in the sprocket, so to speak.
Sorry, we only have time for one final question. We'll take that right here in the aisle.
Are you in a hurry?
I thought you would be.
I'm not in a hurry. Hell, it's after midnight. We might as well stay to 1.
So a few days ago in your telepress conference, you were saying how that, like, you used to when your coaching teams had to order off the left side of the menu, you were doing everything you could just to scrap by, and now you're here defeating UConn. And so what is it like to go through these tough times, triumph, overcome? What's doing it for you?
Well, that was a long time ago, 90 to 97. I've since been at the University of Arkansas. Texas A&M won a national championship there. And so but when you grow up in those humble beginnings, it really, it keeps you grounded, but it makes you appreciate what you have. And I know that for me personally, coaching today in year 32, I've got the greatest job in the world. I get to wake up every morning and coach women's basketball with some great kids and with an unbelievable staff. I mean, what a blessing. I mean, I couldn't ask for any more. And so it's easy for me, knowing where I started, to remember those humble beginnings and to appreciate them. And I try to share some of those stories with our kids. I mean, it was a bus league, but those were special times. I miss being on a bus with my kids, watching a movie, talking, showing, hey, come up here, we'll watch film. That's a bonding time that's really special at that level that you don't get at this level. We roll out, get on a charter, fly, get off, go eat. I mean, there's no time to, and that's what I really miss. Not that I want to go back to that, but that's a piece of that era that I do miss. And so it is special, but I wouldn't trade it. I would not trade it for anything. Absolutely not.
We do have a couple more questions. If
Okay.
you're
Yes, ma'am. Thank
we'll
you.
go right here in the red.
Prentice Beverly, Blue Star Media. Coach, the one thing I noticed when I look at the rosters, you're the only team here that does not have one McDonald's All-American. Can you expand on that, and how did you make it work for yourself?
It's a system, and it's a way we play the game. And I think, it's not that we haven't gone after them, but when you start a program that's coming off of 14 and 16 and you take it over and, it sometimes is a little bit of a challenge early. So you got to go get kids that can play in a system, do things the way you want them done. And, I say this all the time. We talk about where's the next McDonald's All-American come, where are we going to get them? I want to know where the next Dominique Dillingham's coming from. I mean, she's just tough, physical, aggressive basketball player. Doesn't say anything about her jump shot. And so that's the piece that, for us, you got to give my staff so much credit because they are able to identify those kids that fit our system. And again, they do a great job evaluating this. Skill set's important, no question about it. But we don't sacrifice character for skill set. I have too much love and respect for my community, for my university, my administration. And that's one of the things we talk about when we're recruiting. I promise moms and dads I'm not going to bring their daughter in and put them around a bunch of idiots. We got great kids. hey, do they make a bad decision every now and then? Sure, they make them at Yale and Harvard too. But the bottom line is they're great kids. They're committed. They want to win. They pay a price every day. And that's the piece that if you're on the outside looking in, you just don't know that about our kids. And that's what makes them the warriors that they are. And it allows them to be successful. So, hey, I'm not trading them for anything. We got 4 really special seniors. I mean, they believed in a vision when it wasn't real easy to believe. I signed them before we ever played a game that first year, which is probably good or I'd have never got them. But you know, again, Johnny and I knew what 13 and 17 looked like that first year. We didn't panic. We backed up that first class with a top 20 class, and so here we are.
Last question in the back.
Yeah, Nicole Fye, Swish Appeal. So that felt kind of like a championship game. There's a lot of momentum going along. But how do you take that and carry it into Sunday and still use it constructively?
Well, again, we've been beaten twice by South Carolina. So our kids, we know what's coming down the pipe. It won't take much to get their attention, and that's our job. That's my job as the coach. So they know now the prize is in front of them. It's attainable. But we've got one heck of a team to get ready for, tremendous staff. They're really, really good. They've obviously changed their system a little bit throughout the course of the season. And so, but it's down to 2 of us, Southeastern Conference teams playing for the national championship. And, hey, that's pretty special.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you.
All right. Praise the Lord and go Dogs.